June 14th at 7:06 p.m. with myself and Councilman Bernie Flynn. Are there any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding any items not on the agenda? Seeing none, let's move to discussion items. The May 2023 financials.
Good evening. Starting with page 1 of the report, the May 2023 cash balances. We started the month with 19,405,989 in cash. We brought in 4,901,937. We spent 4,541,918. This left us with an ending cash balance of 19,766,008 across all funds. Of this amount, 3.7 million is for general fund operations, 2.1 million for sewer, and 2 million for parking. Moving over to page 2 of the report, the budget to actual summary by department for the year ended May 31st. We had actual revenues of 19,857,904. This is offset by actual expense of 14,133,057. This leaves us with a net income across funds of 5,724,848. Of this amount, 529,922 is attributable to the parking fund, 2,562,081 to the general fund, and 748,088 to the wastewater fund. Moving to the back of the report, the check registers. Again, I made notations on all items that are over $10,000 that have not been brought to your attention for approval. Most of these items are contractual, payments for pension withholdings for employees, medical insurance, legal bills, those sorts of things. Looking at the fund highlights for the year ended May 31st. At this point in time, we would expect all line items to have about 58% of their budgets remaining. Across the board, all funds, all departments are meeting this expectation. Real estate taxes, interest income, and EIT are all performing very well. Both police overtime and public works overtime are meeting budgeted expectations. Looking at the fire fund, the utilities are overspent through May 31st. Equipment repairs is not far behind with 1% left remaining in the fund. This, as I've stated before, this revenue is contractual. We do have 27% remaining to be collected through June 30th, and we will need to monitor cash flow from this point forward, moving to the end of the year.
Excuse me, Mr. McGinnis, Mr. Metric, just like the situation that we have with gasoline exceeding what we budgeted for the year, if the expenses for the repairs for the fire trucks and stuff exceed what we have budgeted, are we prepared to send a invoice to the other municipalities to compensate the fund?
Not something we've considered to that point, but it's getting to the point where we've been over on repairs and maintenance for several cycles. So, yeah.
Since it's a co-op, more or less, or condominium association, or whatever kind of tag you want to put with it, at the end of each year, I get a bill from the golf club, says we overspent, and everybody has to chip in. So I think it's, since we're the administrator, and we know that there's going to be more breakage. I think that's a conversation that we should probably have with our partners in the other municipalities.
Yeah, now's the time with the contract negotiations ripening. Also, too, with our normal budget too, Mr. Flynn, if we are over budget in one area but under budget in expenditures in another, the bottom line on a budget always takes precedent. So we'll have to look carefully at that. And I like the suggestion. I really do. I'm going to follow up on that.
Yeah. But our biggest thing last year was the the utilities, for example, the fuel. You know, we did with the way the fuel escalated the last 2 years, you know, we've been in the downward spiral as far as collecting and paying for the fuels going forward. So like I said, if we're all in this together, I think we, you know, should, you know, have a meeting to discuss it. But thank you. I'd appreciate it.
Moving over to the wastewater fund, $26,000 has been collected on a tap-in budget of $275,000. All other revenue line items are meeting budget at this time. Overtime is overspent in the wastewater fund as well as the generator maintenance line item, but all other line items within the expense budget are performing well. Moving over to the parking fund, both revenues and expenses are meeting budgeted expectations. Looking at the liquid fuels fund, we did receive our yearly allocation late this year. We typically receive it in April. We received it in June of this year. The amount that we received was $428,979. And we currently have about $138,000 in the account. So this puts us at about $567,000. And with the bid that is coming up for the paving contract, that will leave us with about $40,000, give or take, within the fund that will last us from now until April. So there will be monitoring of cash flow within this fund as well. And then moving over to the stream protection fund, we have our revenues are over budget by $100,000, and year-to-date expenses total $410,000, and we do expect those projects within that fund to catch up within the next few months. Are there any questions?
No.
To follow up on the stream protection situation, how are we standing? We know that we're in line for the lawsuit for the university. Are the legal fees being deducted from that we're using to defend the policy? Is that coming out of the stream protection fee?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And those arguments are due now, July 13.
We're going to have a payday or we're going to have a barbecue. So it's one or the other. So it's exciting.
And just to follow up on that conversation with those arguments, do we have an action plan moving forward as far as if we get ruled against again?
I would like to have that conversation in executive session. If I can kind of sense where this question's going.
That's the day we had the barbecue.
Got it. All right. Are there any other questions regarding item A, the May 2023 financials?
Only one other question, Barb. The expenses for the engineers, the Pannoni and RV,
Mhm.
how are they trending compared to previous years? I didn't actually couldn't really find that. And are those line items?
They would be within the Public Works Department, which is in the general fund.
Right,
Just let me get there.
located. Thank you.
So that would be under line item 4211, the consultants. We have a total budget of $30,000. Year to date, we've spent $20,189. So we have about 33% left for the rest of the year, which is slightly below the 58% that we would hope line items would be at this point in time. In comparison to prior years, I can certainly get you that information. I don't have that with me this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add some color to that question because that you're reading my mind a little bit. This is something that we are going to be over budget on this year because we're doing something different this year with our consultants, and that is we're spending dollars to research projects that we haven't created a separate project line item for. We haven't gone out to bid for. We're creating preliminary investigations to be able to put together grant applications. So we might be spending $1,200 here, $2,000 here to get grant funding projects teed up and ready to go. And I'm seeing those bills pile up. And also when we're doing investigations, like we did on Price Street, they're being billed to this line item. I think this is a good line. I think this is, you got to spend money to make money kind of thing. But this is a line item I want to explain in a little more detail to the Finance Committee. And, between now and July is probably, the time's probably ripe to start talking about it because we're going to exceed the number by the end of the year, but I don't want to blow it up either.
All right, item number B, discuss the EBT payment for sewer bills for properties located in East Bradford Township.
Bill, if you could pull up that email for the sewer capacity, please. So we entered into an agreement with East Bradford for sewer capacity to convey and treat sanitary sewage. I believe this went back to 1984, but was recently amended, every 5 years thereafter. The most recent copy that you have before you was dated November 14th, 2017, and was amended November 21st, 2018. And it expired November 14th, 2022. Back in 2018, East Bradford assigned their collection rights for the sewer to Aqua. And that in turn puts a burden on, not a burden, but a function in the finance department to bill East Bradford for both their commercial sewer and their residential sewer. This process is done each month. We bill commercial sewer based on readings that we get from Aqua for their consumption for their water. And the residential sewer information comes from the township itself as well as our wastewater department. Back in 2021, we had a development that went on to our sewer line, the Darlington Ridge properties. Those properties did not get updated in our sewer billing, and therefore we did not bill for 2 years, from 2021 through 2022. That information has since been updated in the system through communications with the solicitor, the wastewater department, and the township itself. The calculation was done by myself. I went back to the beginning of 2021 for all the properties that were due. I made the calculation current. The bill was sent to Aqua back at the end of May, on May 26th, and we billed them for $96,000 to get them up to date. Also, as part of this sewer capacity agreement that you have before you, East Bradford is responsible for any capital projects that come down from the DEP that we need to upgrade our wastewater treatment plants for any mandates that they put through. We were able to bill them for their proportionate share of the JEV costs that were paid for the tertiary project. Year to date, we spent $1.2 million to JEV. We were able to bill East Bradford $170,000. That bill went out last week, and I expect that to be paid by the end of July. As I said earlier, the agreement is not in compliance at this point in time, but we are working on getting that information before you, and we expect to have that shortly. Are there any questions?
That's going to be a different kind of agreement than you've seen before because now we have 3 entities involved: the borough, East Bradford Township, which has retained, even though they've sold their system to Aqua, they've retained some responsibilities, and Aqua. So the solicitor's working on a tri-party agreement. We have those meetings set up. We're hoping to get something drafted by July so we can keep moving forward.
Does Aqua take a servicing fee that we have to pay them, or East Bradford, that comes out of the money that we're supposed to collect?
It's not stated quite that way, but the quick answer is yes. So the money the end user is getting, the bill that the end user is getting in East Bradford Township includes a payment to Aqua, but also a charge from the borough to convey it from the township's borders to the treatment plant and treat it. I hope Does that make sense? No, okay.
What I was asking is, say East Bradford owes us a dollar. By the time it gets to us, are we getting 80 cents? Because Aqua takes a percentage out?
No, but Aqua does charge us a fee for the monthly billing.
For administration?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Any further questions?
I assume that is also with the Westchester Sewer Authority that all the residents pay in the borough here. Because we send our sewer bill right to Aqua based on consumption. And I guess they're charging us an administrative fee to collect and disseminate all the money back to us.
Yeah, so we currently pay a monthly fee to Aqua to mail out the 4,000 plus sewer bills. And that generally equates to about $10,000 a month for that service. And like you said, those payments are made to Aqua, and then we follow up with any unpaid balances. We work to get those sent over to Portnoy for collections.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, item C, discuss the borough purchasing policy.
Thank you. If you don't mind, Barbara, I'm going to take the lead on this one, where I tried to distill our gap down to a short list of payment types that we can discuss with the committee and with council next week. These are payment types here listed in the memo I drafted for the committee that are currently, we're not coming to council for approval. Barb mentioned some of those things. For instance, the fifth one on the list there is payment to vendors that routinely exceed 10K, like health insurance, legal bills, sludge hauling, and utilities. I'm suggesting maybe we go through these things one by one tonight, if that's all right. And we decide what sorts of things you want in or out. And because this is not part of our current policy or practice, and I want to meet the expectations council sets on this.
You want me to lead the charge? Sure. The progress payments for capital projects that have been budgeted and publicly bid and awarded by council. I think that's an easy agreed upon because the council's already saw the original cost of the project. And we know that, it's a diminishing number, from where we agreed to. Any change orders that are larger than $10,000 should come to council. But as it progress payments that it's already budgeted and approved, publicly bid it, I think that's a go.
Yeah, I have no issue with that.
The second one, payments to vendors through state contracts, such as co-stars for items or services that have been budgeted for council. My world, that's a no, because co-stars is a purchasing sales agreement, and anything that goes through co-stars, I think over $10,000 should come to council for purchases. Just for example, the police car. We budgeted for the police car. We use co-stars to make sure we get the cheapest price, which that's what co-star is supposed to do. And then it's supposed to come back to council for anything over 10 grand. So I think that in that one, I think that's a no.
I'll even give you a bigger example. We've been working and meeting with vendors to upgrade our payment tech in the 2 garages the borough owns. And we're looking at 6-figure pricing on that and up. So even though the people we're working with are co-stars vendors, we were going to come in here and tell you and have council and talk it through why we were doing it, what the features and things were. But I think spending the money, I think that I would feel more comfortable council approving that, because that's a really big ticket item.
Yeah, co-stars and Sourcewell are really good people that actually can negotiate for us, and save us a lot of time. So I think that should be, as you agree with me, off the table. Payments to vendors for work being performed, such as storm sewer repairs for labor and material budgeted, publicly bid at a unit cost for labor and materials and awarded by council. On this one here, I think there has to be a not to exceed number. Yeah, because, only because, I'm gonna pull Duraco Brothers out. We have a sewer collapse. We called Duraco because it's an emergency service. They do the sewer. That's outside of the.
That would be an after the fact
Yeah, after the
report.
fact one, but it's something along those lines with labor and material for jobs. I think if it gets around 10,000, we should get council's approval on.
We know of a problem. It's not critical in a storm system. We go to our vendor, we get an estimate from them. They tell us it's $65,000. Before we sign that and agree to the work, we get approval from council.
Yes, I
All right,
agree.
I agree with that.
You agree with
That's
that?
good. I'm in agreement.
All right. The next one, you can have that one because I don't even know what you're asking on that one, but I'll jump over it. The payments to vendors that routinely exceed 10,000, health insurance, legal bills, sludge handling, utilities. That is a year-to-year normally historical information, and that's the cost of doing business. But yeah, every year, all the different departments come to us and say, sludge is going to be $18 a pound to remove, and we tell Mr. Mitchell, sure. We set a expense, a limit for our legal fees and for our engineers. I think these are pre-negotiated at the beginning of the year.
Way they differ, the reason why this is any different than the third one is that these payments are more routine. They're made monthly. Okay. This gets more at when we go through the bidding, when we know where something's going to cost more than $10,000, we got to go through a bidding process. But there are certain things we don't have to bid. We can exercise and don't have to bid through the home rule charter. We can still bid these things if we want to, but there are certain exemptions. There's 8 of them. And they tend to be professional, unique services, labor and services rendered by a borough official or employee. I'm not sure what that is. There's a list of things that can be awarded absent competitive bidding, kind of like co-stars, and they're spelled out in the home rule charter. So in that case, they're kind of like number 2 on the list. Okay. Everything on these 5 things we've discussed is the one thing they all have in common is if the dollar amount's 10,000 or more.
Apologize, I wasn't putting it out. I was talking just to you. I think we agreed later for next year to raise it to the Commonwealth level. I think it was 20,000 or something like that, right?
That's in the low 20s. It increases annually.
Yeah. So
Should we put something in there? Pardon me. Should we put something in there that it should be indexed to inflation according to whatever the Commonwealth level is? It was changing annually, right? Wouldn't we want to keep up with that?
The ordinance could state something like the then prevailing rates published by the Department of Labor Industry for the PA Commonwealth.
I'm comfortable with
yeah,
that.
and it would be good at the beginning of every year, if the reorganization or whatever, the borough manager tells in a public setting during a work session or voting session that 2024, the threshold now is $25,000 for all purchase orders. That way you'll communicate that with staff, but that way their council will know. Because right now, in everybody's head, it's it's seared in there at 10,000, you know, and as we move through the process, and it escalates, you know, it'd be good to let everybody know. So, good. Good work. Yeah.
All right, item D, discuss approving the volunteer firefighter and EMS earned income and real estate tax credits.
Mr. McGinnis, I received a memo from the chief, when I came in today, and, the fire department has changed their approach to a request. And then after the chief gives his presentation, I would like to alter the request.
Chief?
Okay, I know we went over it, so I won't belabor the topic, but the long and the short of it is administration met and we found a couple difficulties with the earned income tax. So the ask would be to just keep it to the real estate tax at this point. If I can remind you, we originally asked for 500 on the real estate and 500 on the earned income tax. So a total relief of $1,000 per qualifying individual. We're looking at roughly 16 qualifying individuals at this time. If we stayed with the 500, that's an ask of about $8,000 roughly for the amount of people that we have that would qualify at this point. But again, after really looking into this, relying on a third-party administrator for the earned income tax and the additional administrative data tracking that would be required, we're asking that it just simply be the real estate tax. We would provide a list of qualified individuals certified to you by January 15 of the following year. The tax bills would come in, the individuals would pay their tax bill. After they paid their bill, they would show proof of the paid bill, submit it to the borough for a rebate. But I didn't want to put a ask number on what the ceiling would be on the real estate tax credit. I wanted to leave that up to all of you and the council to come up with that number.
I did have a question. What about to the people that rent and live in Westchester Borough?
They wouldn't get anything.
Okay.
Only homeowners. That's why the number's so low. And again, that's the ceiling of all of our individuals who are active and own in the borough. Now there's a whole nother side of that. They have to meet the minimum criteria to actually qualify. So again, currently at 16, but again, my guess would be somewhere 60 to 70%. So probably we would end up with 14-ish people. But the good news is we are seeing a lot of people who've been dormant on their volunteerism in recent years starting to come back more and more now that there's a talk of all this. And it was good to see the presentation in Smart Growth. I think that was a good segue into this of, you know, the folks, at least, you know, we fall into that EMT category, and it escapes me what that category was. But you know, it's very difficult to own a home on the salaries of most of our individuals in the borough. So
Thank you for the clarification. Well, I guess that solves it for me that we should make it the $500 for the real estate tax.
Well, that's where I wanted to have a sidebar discussion, and I have not talked to the chief about it. The $500 with not having the earned income tax is not very appealing. And I would like to recommend the council, you know, moving forward, to make it $700 for the, you know, for the 16 or 14 people, whatever it is. It'll take a little bit of a bite out of their yearly thing. And even $700, you know, at the fact that, what it costs for a family just to go out to dinner. Four of us went out the other night, it was $450 at Pietro's. So,
I gotta go to dinner with you, man.
I know he's eating a tomahawk steak there.
I think the food bill was $100.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But the rest of the meal was liquid libations.
Yeah.
I mean, with that,
Yeah, I would like to increase it.
and I think I'm going there, but they had originally asked for a total of 1,000. So why don't we just make it 1,000 instead of 700 for a round number?
Let's ask Barb. Barb, what's the average property tax for the people, people like me? I think my property tax is $900 a year.
So I did a quick calculation
Look at that.
based on our assessed value and how many parcels we have, and I came up with an average bill of $1,400.
I mean, if it's to help get more recruits for the fire department and for the people in EMS that are, serving the community, I don't see that being an issue for me.
You know what? I'll go along with it. I think it's I think it's well worth it. But it's, like I said, I started at $750. But it'd be a recommendation, I think,
Sure. To full council. Yeah.
and then let council decide. But, with the numbers dwindling, I mean, the active response that we had at our fire in my district 2 days ago was astounding. And thank God that, the family is okay and, the house can be rebuilt.
Sure.
And you guys were there within, as fast as you could get there. It was amazing. So
Yeah.
it contained it to the kitchen, and the female homeowner is doing well. And but why don't we throw 1,000 and then let council beat it up next Tuesday?
I'm fine with that.
You okay with that, Mr. Metric? Okay. Yeah.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Chief.
Appreciate it.
I don't have a charge at PHS.
All right. Item E, discuss pension investment options. Right. So if Barb, if you want to talk about that, but I have some thoughts I want to share too.
So I did reach out to RBC to see if they had any options for, not potentially investing in China and Russian stocks. And the option that I was given was the MSCI EAFE Index Fund, which is a fund that invests in emerging countries, not US or Canada. And neither Russia or China were a part of that. So I'm not sure if, I'm sure you are well
Yes.
versed in that.
That
So,
was the fund that I was going to.
Okay.
It's the All World Emerging Markets ex-US or ex-China fund. The other good thing about this fund, it has a much lower expense ratio than the two other international funds. So it's 0.25% as opposed to the Dodge and Cox, which is 0.6% as of March 31st, 2023, and 0.8% of the other international equity funds. So we would realize savings over time. So if we can make that recommendation, I'd be very happy with that.
Fine with it. I want to invest in Ireland.
so that would be a 2-0 recommendation to go before council.
I have no
Yeah.
idea what he said, but
Right.
sure.
Thank you, Barb, for
Thank
the
you.
information. I appreciate it.
Just so
Uh,
I'm clear,
yes.
is it council, I mean, the committee, and we'll talk about it next week. Council's action item to direct the pension committee to direct the investment managers to do something, or are we making a change to our investment policy?
What Mr. McGinnis wants them to do is, right now, we have no assets in Russian.
We do.
Russia.
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
I can only find China,
Yeah. So we,
4.9.
yeah. So it's the Dodge and Cox International and the other fund that there's another equity index fund, International Equity Index Fund. The ticker symbol is HLMIX. So I believe that there are some, but both of those funds, or both of those countries, I should say, are excluded from the iShares Emerging Markets ex-China Fund. And they have a lower expense ratio. So that's going to lead to savings over time, which means improved investment return.
So I guess he's saying, sell and buy. In layman terms, sell what we have in those other assets and then buy whatever he's.
And,
saying it's a
and
good
they
thing
could,
to
or we
buy.
can make that I mean, however they want to do it, but I believe we should make that recommendation to them.
Okay, so, all right, so I understand. And but our investment policy will still work because that's basically portioning up the asset and asset mix into certain types of investments. That's what council approved in December. And that's what we've been working off of in the pension committee and the fund managers. But this is a added recommendation. Okay.
Correct.
And they meet next, the pension committee meets next July 31st here at Borough Hall at 3 PM. It's a public meeting. 3 PM, I think. I think it's 3 PM. And we're also going to have the investment advisors come in the August meeting cycle because the July would be too early to turn around second quarter results because that would be June 30. And I think we meet on the 11th next as the finance committee. So that's 2 touches I'm planning between the pension committee and the borough. But we can communicate to them in the meantime about it. Should council
Yeah,
go this way?
I think that what you and I need to have happen is have Mr. McGinnis reduce it into writing, so what he's actually recommending, because he read it off like it was a recipe to make, scones. He knows it. So, but I think it's a good idea for him to reduce what he wants us to do. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's your job, yo.
that's what I'd like
Yeah.
for that to be done. I will send it to you. Yeah. Yeah. I apologize for the lingo there. But thank you for that clarification. And that's discuss the Pennsylvania Municipal League membership.
So just for the record, the last time that we paid the full membership to the PA Municipal League was back in 2019, and the amount that we paid was $4,726.02.
Thank you. And Mr. Metric, I believe that fee has increased. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were quoted a rate of it's indexed to our population, so it's 32% times our population, 32 cents times our population. So that works out to $5,974 for a year. So I met with the membership deputy director of membership in December of last year, and it looked like a great supportive organization that had a lot of benefits to offer the borough. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger at that time is I had 16,000 budgeted for training and memberships, and I didn't want to spend 45% of it in the first 2 weeks of the year.
What population did they actually use? The real one or the 39,000?
They used the previous that I've publicly maligned 2020 census number 18671.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. I think it's a great idea because instead of reinventing the wheel, we can assign council people to attend any of the functions and bring back good practices that we don't have to redo. Like, for example, the I talked to Mr. McGinnis about this, the Airbnbs. They may have done all that work in Carlisle, and we're just starting to step into it now. So, you know, we may be able to plagiarize whatever they've done in Carlisle instead of reinventing the wheel as far as that's concerned. I think it's a great idea.
I mean, I like it. It allows us to share ideas and best practices with other municipalities. I know that townships have their own, I forget what it's called, but they have their own governing body that they work with within the state of Pennsylvania, and people get together. And usually once a year, it's a conference held in Hershey. And I think that this would help us not only with some ideas, but, you know, help us with contract negotiations moving forward, things that could, you know, save us time and money. For example, we could have partnered with them if we were in it regarding any type of lawsuit, and especially the one regarding sustainability. And as long as we're a partner, I don't think that would have cost us anything, if I'm not mistaken. And Barb, how long were we in it, and when was the last time we were in it again?
That was back in 2019.
2019. Okay, thank you.
And that was a budgetary cut by the previous borough manager because he thought he understood the book.
And just for the record, this was actually mentioned to me by State Senator Carolyn Comita when she was on council, and then Mayor, I believe that when she was here, she was part of, or Westchester was part of the Pennsylvania Municipal League, and she had some very, very positive comments to say about joining the Pennsylvania Municipal League. Any other comments about that?
I just want to make sure that's a 2-0 recommendation.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Just one.
Yes, Mayor.
Just one comment. I agree. I think it's a smart move. I've been talking about it myself. And so, and Senator Comita mentioned how much benefit she got out of it. And I'm sure that each of us would get benefit out of being part of it.
Right. Thank you. Yes, we'll call that a 2-0. Number 4, action items. Approve sewer camera tractor purchase.
So this is an item that is requested by the Public Works Department. It's a sewer camera tractor purchase. Originally, when we did our budget, all the capital projects are being funded by the ARPA monies. Mr. Edwards had put in a request last month for a dump truck, which totaled $86,000. They did have a $275,000 equipment capital budget for 2023. And since that dump truck was less than the required amount, he also is requesting this as well.
What does it do?
And this is for the camera on the trucks to go down and look in the laterals and take the pictures for the sewer
Okay.
lines.
No idea what it was.
Right now, we're having to farm out this service. So we're incurring some costs because of this, the issue we're having with the illicit discharge. So I want to get this up and running. This is going to save us money.
I have no further comment about this. I think if it's needed,
Yeah,
then we should make that purchase.
and it's over 10, so he's asking for it. It'll be approved by council next week,
All right, thank you.
hopefully.
All right. Any further comment? Seeing none, moving to item B, approve grant resolution for the DEP Growing Greener, Goose Creek Stormwater BMPs.
Yeah. Good evening, Will Williams. 2 grant applications this month. First one is Goose Creek Stormwater Management Project on adjacent to Goose Creek on our Public Works facility lot. If it sounds familiar, we applied for a grant for this in December, which we should hear on sometime in July. We're just hedging our bets with this application. It is 15%. So Yeah, I think that comes out to like 36, something like that, which would come out of SPF when we go to construction, which would be next year, 2025.
I have no issue here with that. Any public comment? And we can move forward with that. 2-0. And then the PennDOT pedestrian safety improvement phase 1.
Yeah, if you recall, we had a lot of conversation about Price Street, and that kind of kicked off this project. What we're looking to do is signalize pedestrian crossing and ADA and crosswalks at Price and Brandywine, and 2 other really dicey pedestrian locations. One is New Street and Gay Street there, by St. Agnes, the Borough parking lot, the Justice Center. A lot of chaos up there with Hannum Avenue and New Street and Gay Street combining. The other one is by Westchester Friends, High Street and Biddle Street. The common theme is high vehicle counts, high pedestrian activity, and 2 or more blocks without a stop sign or a traffic light. We're not adding stop signs or traffic lights. This is, pedestrian push button type stuff.
All right, that was my comment. So it's just pedestrian push button, no traffic lights. Okay.
Yep. Match on this is 10%. And being that it's PennDOT, we wouldn't be looking at this till 2025. So, yeah, I mean, it takes 7-8 months for them just to get back to us on a grant application. Yeah.
Other than the other ones, I'm seeing around the borough a lot now, the initiative that you really spearheaded was the composting. And I'm seeing composting cans all over places. They're white like we had with the green lids.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah.
And they actually have signs on the front lawn.
Yeah.
Mom's home compost or whatever.
Yeah. Mother compost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it offline or right now? Yeah. With another company, that company decided to scale back within 48 hours of us going live with our agreement, which we had signed. I think that was 2021. Mother Compost is just a different company. They approached us. I proposed something similar. They said they weren't interested. So, yep.
Their loss.
Yep.
Not working with Will Williams is their fault. Thank you.
Yeah, we can move forward to 2-0 with that one. Any questions? Okay, about item B. Item C, approve the May 2023 minutes. I don't see anything there that needs to be changed. Approved. Any other business? All right, motion to adjourn.